All right, everybody, it's Claudia Mühlenweg for Clear Vision Wednesday. We had some technical difficulties. The scheduled live stream that I did earlier didn't work, and now I'm going live without scheduling. I'm just hopping on here. I taught this whole lesson to my tribe, and now I'm reteaching the whole lesson to everybody here on YouTube. So welcome. Our topic today is improve reading with a smartphone. And I had a previous video where I talked about reading fine print with ease. I highly recommend that you watch that one, because that one teaches you a lot of the prep work that really helps you for reading, improve your reading with a smartphone. So I want to quickly go over those things again, just really briefly. However, I recommend you watch the previous video. So a really important piece of reading or any kind of vision thing is what we call central fixation. And that is the concept that whatever letter you look at, let's see in this case the V, you see best. And everything else is less clear, less seen worse, maybe more gray, more blurry. But here's the thing, when you look at this sheet of print, right, this is obviously printed, this bigger the text, the more you could be tempted to not move your eyes and just kind of try to see this whole thing clear at once, when in fact your eyes cannot even see the whole V clear at once if you look at the top corner. So the concept of central fixation just means that the basis on the retina of the design of our eyes, that we have best vision in the fovea, a very small spot, and everything else is not as clear. So the smaller the print, the more you will move your eyes, right? You cannot just guess the word, you have to move your eyes. And that's why small print is so helpful. And we're going to talk about more on the phone, how to do that. The other thing that's interesting, that's a visual illusion, that's what I call happy halos, that our brain compares, and where's my eye chart? Our brain compares. Let's say you just look at the white here, that just looks white. But if you compare the white next to a black letter or a black shape, that you will see this illusion of a color, a little ring of brighter white, like a little halo of a letter, because our brain is making comparisons, and the white next to the black looks a lot whiter than the white on its own. So we use that as a helpful tool. And if you think of the halo on small print, it would basically become like what we call a thin white line. So all the baseline of all these letters looks like as if it's standing on a thin white shelf. So again, review the other video if you're not clear on what I'm talking about. These are visual illusions that actually help us to see more clearly and sharper and blacker. And then the other thing is really important. There is this concept when you're moving your attention one way, that the world seems to go the other way. So when you're reading from left to right, it seems like the letters go the other way. If you work with a natural vision improvement teacher, or you've done this on your own, you might have seen something like this, the shifter, a very abstract version of text. It's basically as if you draw big L's or I's or something. And then the idea is that you move your attention like this, seems like the lines go the opposite way. It's, if you ever think you sit in a train and the other train moves, but yours is in the station, and you have the feeling that your train is moving, it's that same idea. So this is really important for good reading. Is getting, you're not thinking about it the whole time, but you're getting the sensation that the text seems to move in the oppositional way. And that's usually first, if you have poor vision, easier experience when you do these big swinging movements versus the little movements. So then I'm just looking at my notes. And another practice, and this is really important, basically it's really important for if you have presbyopia, if you are farsighted, if you're nearsighted, this, I don't recommend this because you're already very good at looking up close. But if you're farsighted or presbyopic, you can use any small print. I mean, I find, here's some examples. If you don't have anything from a teacher like me, I give my students all kinds of samples of small print. But this is, like from a nursery, like the description of this flower was pretty small print. Or there's a little, I don't even know what this was. This was a little flashlight I bought, and the description is pretty tiny. So you can use these things. And reading between the lines literally means that you're not really reading, but you're looking at the white spaces between the text, and you imagine them super, super white. So you do that. Again, this really works best when you're presbyopic or farsighted, not when you're nearsighted. But you hold the text so close that you would not make any effort. And now you're moving, I'm moving my head, and I'm just looking at the white spaces, imagining them super white, blinking and breathing. I'm not trying to clear everything up, because if you're really farsighted or presbyopic, it will be super blurry. You can even do this vertically. So you're moving your head up and down. You can even imagine there's little, the gaps between the words. You can kind of go this way. So do this for a few minutes. And then what I forgot to say is, ideally you would check your level of print before. You would be like, maybe you have a book or something, and you'd be like, oh, without glasses, I have to stretch my arm out this way. I can see it not clearly, but maybe I can see it clearly here. And then you do this for a few minutes, and then you'd be like, oh, I can now see it here, because even though you didn't clear it up this close, you relax into the near point, and relaxing is the key piece. So you still converge your eyes, you still practice this, and you relax, and that's what really helps you to clear up. One last thing I want to talk about before we get into the screens. So a printed piece or an e-reader like a Kindle that doesn't have a backlit screen, but that is basically like almost like paper, is easier on the eyes than a backlit screen, because a pixel is harder for the eyes to see. Why? Let's use me as an example here. If you were to see me in real life, you wouldn't see that poster behind me, like, 2 yards, 2 meters away from me, behind me. But on the screen, it's all flat, right? For the eyes, there's kind of a fake 3D, and that's where our brain struggles. Like, so we see a pixel, but there's really no real sense of distance. So that's why peripheral vision is so important when you're on the screens, or a smartphone especially. I think on computers, it's easier for most people, but even then, you want to make sure that the room is lit well, that you have something interesting in the periphery, maybe something moving. I'm having a second monitor, I see myself here moving. So that really stimulates your peripheral vision, because, or let's see, I have a little lip gloss here on my desk. So when I'm on my phone, the pixels, it's hard for the eye to tell the distance, the exact focusing piece, but I have other objects, physical objects in my peripheral vision. So that gives my brain kind of a clue about the distance, and also the edge of the phone, right? Mine is all cracked and stuff, but the edge of the phone, that gives your eyes a physical, your brain a physical piece, kind of to kind of think of a camera zooming in and out. What is the actual distance? Versus the pixel is harder on the eyes. So I do want to share some of my favorite settings on the phone, and I will share my phone for that. So yeah, let me do that. It's probably the easiest way to just share my phone screen. So let me do that, share my phone screen. And then I have to open my phone, and actually open it to the right thing before I do this, settings. Okay, so you should be able to, let's see, is it doing it? Okay, you should be able to hopefully see my screen at this point. And I have an iPhone, so I'm talking about an iPhone here, but similar things apply to Android phones as well. So when I look, so this is my settings. So this is something I wanted to talk about that I think is really important to help you get the best ability to read on your phone. So first of all, it's when you want to change settings, you go, again, this is iPhone, but it's probably similar on Android. You go to display and brightness. And then you see the options of dark mode and light mode. So when I go to light mode, there's a lot more, and this is closer to actual printed materials, but at the same time, there's a lot more light, like, what do you call it? Like stray light than if you go to dark mode. And you can click automatic, and that would make it light during the day and dark at night. I find it a lot easier to read, and it's a lot less blue light exposure if you go to dark mode, because then you have more blackness on the screen and you get less light, basically. So this is a really helpful way to read, especially if you're outside. It's actually easier to read this way on the screen. In print, it would probably be the other way around. It would be easier to read black text on white, but on the screen, this is a lot easier, again, because of the pixel situation. So the next thing we want to look at is, this is only applying to screens. So night shift is something I recommend, and I have mine set from 4 a.m. to 3:59, so that it basically is blocks the blue light all day long. And you can set any hours, but there's no way to automatically set 24/7. So you have to click on schedule and then also manually enable. So the settings I'm showing here are correct. You won't see the difference in my screen on your screen, but basically I have mine all the way to the warmest, and you can obviously change like how much blue light blocking you want. My MacBook Pro goes really orange. So my MacBook Pro, I have it more set to here, but on my iPhone, it's not that orangey, and you get really easily used to that. So I recommend setting it all the way to warm so that you do not get that extra blue light from the screens. So let's go back here. So another tip is that, so we covered the blue lights, we covered the dark mode, and the automatic brightness. So you want the brightness to be automatic, and now I forgot what that setting is. I think it's True tone is something different, but you can change it to automatic, which actually makes it very bright when you're outside in a bright environment. It makes it dimmer. So dimmer is obviously saving battery, and it's also helping you to, and I don't, yeah, you see it doesn't change on the screen. I see this on the screen. It changes on my phone, but you can't really tell. But the dimmer, it lowers the contrast, which if you have vision problems, a lower contrast might be causing too much strain. But again, it's also a really good way to relax into reading. So if you want to find a good balance between reading glasses, and I say rather not wear reading glasses and make it brighter initially, then make it darker and wear glasses. So if you have to kind of find a compromise, then in that case, I would keep the brightness pretty bright. And then only once you've gotten better, and then you can dim the light a little bit. But ideally, if you can dim it, that's the thing. And so the most important piece really I wanted to talk about is something I see people do is bold the text. Actually, it makes it more, you can even see it makes it actually harder to read. The letters blend more into each other. So I always recommend do not bold the text. Keep it like this. So it's a little sharper. And then the most important piece is the text size. So I have mine set to the smallest. When I got my phone, I think I was set to this from the factory. But here's the mistake I see. So I see people doing this. And basically, remember how I talked about central fixation, that idea that your fovea can only see, and I'm not talking that you can't see the rest, but when you look at the A in apps, right? When you look at the top of the A, you notice that the P next to that, and don't move your attention away from the top of the A, the P is not as clear. And when you keep looking at the A, you don't even know what the last word is, right? If we glance over, we would see it says will. So yes, you cannot read that. You have to move your eyes, but you can probably look at the A and see apps that without really moving your eyes. You can really strain and try to see a lot of things clearly at once. Oops, now it went out of mode, but you can really strain. But now if I make the text small, now when you look at the A in apps, right, there is no way that you would even know what the third or fourth word said. You have to move your eyes. So there's a lot more eye movement that you will automatically be doing, which is healthy for your eyes. But the smaller the text, the more eye movements. So that's why I recommend, and if this is too small for you initially, again, there's the compromise between reading glasses or wearing glasses and not wearing glasses. So maybe you start by having a compromise, and maybe you were here before, and now you're going down to the middle or something. But what this does, it somehow gets stuck sometimes. What this does, it allows you to know that you use good vision habits, because the bigger you make the text and then you wear glasses, you strain, you read, and it makes your vision worse. But if you make it to the point where if you're blinking, if you're breathing, if you use all the good vision habits that I and other vision teachers teach, then when you have the good habits, it's clear. And when you start straining, it gets blurry. So you actually have feedback. And maybe instead of straining more and staying on Instagram or something, you will actually do something good for your eyes and maybe palm your eyes or take a break, put the phone away. So that's why I recommend, making, and I want to show you really quick, if I go to an app like Instagram, actually the app always quits when I make it big. It doesn't like it. But see how, let me go to my feed here, see how this is how it would be on the largest setting, right? It would be really, really large. So you can strain, you can see all these things without really moving your eyes. You move your eyes very minimally. But if I go now to my, where is my here, display brightness? Now I have to scroll down to even see text size. And I go to the smallest one. Come on, sometimes it gets stuck. So now now you can clearly see, now I have to move my eyes a whole lot more, and not have to, but your eyes will be moving more. You will be less stuck in your vision when you go to the smallest setting. So I want to conclude with an app that I found. I have not really extensively tested it, but there's an app that's designed for those of you that have presbyopia, that have reading glasses. It's called Glasses Off. It's this app here, and it's actually, because I tested it, it's already, I'm actually a guest, so it's already, I don't know what it's doing. I have a little video for this, but basically it's an app developed by scientists at UC Berkeley. So I created a little video. I just have to find the video first amongst all my different videos here. But basically it's, I'm showing a little video. So you you create your profile, you kind of type what you want your goals are, if you only wear readers or bifocals, how old you are. So you have a few questions that you answer, and then you get a little vision evaluation. It's basically tells you to do this away from strong light, do not wear your glasses, and then it takes you through a little test. Unfortunately, the app flips sideways, and I can't change my phone here on the Zoom screen. But basically, it takes you through a little test where you have a nanosecond of a little E flashing, and then you have to decide. Let me skip over the tutorial because I couldn't figure out how to get rid of the tutorial. Let me see if I can forward this video. Yeah, I got this tutorial. So basically, here I was going through round 1. And by the way, if you have healthy vision, you blink a lot like me. This was so fast that a lot of times I blinked and I didn't see it. So I got a few wrong. But basically, it goes like this. So it has you see how quick it goes. It flashes this little E, and you have to click if it's the sideway, the top, the bottom opening. So I got really good. And then eventually I started blinking more, and I missed a few of them. But basically, it gives you 3 rounds of a little evaluation. And then the app has other different exercises, and you can use it for free. I'm not associated with this app, by the way. You can use it for free for a week, and then there's a subscription. I would have to actually look at my photos. So basically this is what it is. So the monthly subscription is $9.99. Okay, you can try it for 3 months. So again, I'm not associated with this app. I have not extensively tested it beyond yesterday. So I can't really tell you if it's working or not, but I feel like it's a good way to start playing around with your near vision and improving your near vision. So it keeps you on the screens. But here's the thing, if you use your eyes well, if you know what to do, if you do the blinking, if you do the eye movements, if you practice those skills, if you set your phone to dark mode, and all these things I just shared with you, you can actually improve your vision using your phone, because it gives you a feedback. And one thing I didn't talk about yet, but what I see happening a lot with if you have vision problems, see if you have a book, right? I don't have a book here, but if you have this, you can't zoom it up. But I see that a lot on screens, right? There's a tendency to just zoom in all the time and to always make the text big. And it allows you to strain, and your vision will deteriorate. But if you keep it small and only enlarge it if you really have to, for instance, sometimes I give you an example. Sometimes I do Instagram lives on the beach, and it's really bright sunlight out there, but I do want to see the Q&A. So sometimes I set my text a little larger, just so when I'm walking and I'm talking and I'm reading the text, so that I can, in the bright sunlight, I can see the questions a little easier. I usually forget to do it, but sometimes I do, because that's a situation where I know I will be in bright conditions. The phone will be pretty dim. I will be walking as I'm talking. And that's a scenario where it makes it just a little easier for me to read questions really quickly. But if you set it to the ideal conditions and then only use the bigger font, if you really need to, you're stressed, you have to give a presentation or something, that will really, really help your vision. So I hope this was helpful. I'm just looking if there's any questions. I don't see any questions on YouTube, and just apologize. We had this scheduled for sooner. I did my first scheduled YouTube live, where it's just connecting it to Zoom, and it didn't work. So this is my second attempt at recording this. And follow me here on YouTube. I go live every week, and usually this is the first time in over a year and a half where it didn't work. For some reason, we had a glitch with the scheduled feed. But I'm going live here every Wednesday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. I bring on guests. We talk about vision improvement. I had amazing guests talking about hormones, sleep, dentistry, how that affects your vision. So many different factors, trauma, so many factors that affect your eyesight. And I teach here all the time. Next Wednesday, if you're watching live, next Wednesday, May 25th, 2022, there won't be a show as I'm traveling. But usually every Wednesday there's a show. So follow me here, subscribe to my channel, and then click the little bell icon, get notified. So maybe you didn't catch my email, or maybe you don't follow me on Instagram, or you didn't see my URL. If you do that, you will get notified. Like those of you watching right now, you will see me going live. So follow me. I'm also on Instagram at Holistic Vision Coach. I love Instagram. I love teaching there as well. And yeah. So have a great day, and you can always post questions in the comments. I do go in here regularly and I answer all the questions. as fast as I can and help you out that way. I also have been in the show notes underneath here. There's a free download that you can get called 10 Habits for Healthy, Happy Eyes. That doesn't talk about screens, but it gives you lots of good tips about eyesight. And there's a few things in here that I taught today that you can also get in there. All right. Love you all. And I'm back, not next week, but I'm back here June 1st with my guest, Barry Ocketel, who was supposed to be here today with me, but he has a flight schedule change and couldn't make it. So he's going to be with me here on June 1st live. And it's called Clearing Blocks to Seeing Clearly. He's a master energy healer. And sometimes there's a reason our system doesn't want to see clearly, and he will help you to unlock those things. And it's like magic. I don't know how it works. He helped me in another area of my life to clear a block that wasn't related to vision, and it works. It's incredible. So I'm super excited. So in 2 weeks, come back here and subscribe to my channel, click the little bell, and then you will get to see Barry doing his magic and helping you clear any block.